Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, so Victoria uh, wanted us to use Catherine because she needs to do some substitutions. That is fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see exactly what I am seeing. Lisa, can you enable the screen sharing, please? I always forget that dang default.
Deanna?
Yeah.
I made you a host as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not letting me share my screen.
To be honest, is there anyone that can walk me through enabling?
Yeah. So you'll have the option right next to your share screen button. And then if you go to advanced settings, and you should be able to, it'll ask who can share the screen, and you just select everyone.
Okay. Sorry, where are the advanced settings, Deanna?
Oh, you know what? I got it now. I wasn't signed into Zoom. That's my bad. So
Okay,
sorry, everyone. Okay. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Just need at least one yes. So I know you guys can see okay. So we have Catherine Lopez, who Victoria is an advisor for. So when we first pull up a student, and you guys should have a very similar view to myself, we can see the student ID number, their name, and their degree. We have a ton of students though that have an associate's and a bachelor's declared. If that was the case with the student, there would be a little drop down arrow and we would be able to toggle between the 2 degrees. So by default though, DegreeWorks will show the associate first. So if you pull up a student in DegreeWorks and you're like, what the heck, where, like this is the total wrong degree, check to see if you have the option to go to the other degree first. We can see that this student is a Office Administration, AAS. She has 70 Northern credits. If a student has transfer credits, that will be included in their overall earned credits. So the NNMC earned credits and the overall credits may be different if a student has transfer work. When we pull up students, we want to make sure that we are viewing the most accurate and up-to-date information, right? So this data refreshed in the date right here at the top under worksheets, that lets us know the last time the information was refreshed. So this is the last time DegreeWorks looked at Banner to pull the most, to pull whatever information Banner has. So when I pulled this student up at 302, I refreshed to make sure that we had the most up-to-date information. DegreeWorks pulls information from Banner, but Banner does not pull information from DegreeWorks. So you cannot change a major, you can't change a catalog year, you can't do anything like that in DegreeWorks because DegreeWorks gets its information from Banner. Banner is our student database. Now, Victoria had asked before, well, how do we tell which catalog year the student is? So if we scroll down to our first block of the audit, it's always going to be the degree block, no matter what the degree is. So we can see right here, catalog year, it's 2017, 2018. That is what information we have in Banner. So what we've seen happening a lot is an advisor will start advising a student on one of the newer catalog years. I think it was a 2019, 2020 was when we had the general education requirements cut down quite a bit. So we have a lot of students moving to the newer catalog years because they have less of those gen ed requirements. However, they don't ever submit a change of major or change of catalog form to the registrar's office. So the registrar's office doesn't know that these students are being advised on a newer catalog year often until they get the graduation packet and they see what the student has been advised or what year the student has been advised for. So Victoria, I know you were asking about that. What year is the student supposed to be? What catalog year?
I have no idea.
Okay.
That's why I need to know, because
Yeah.
students I looked, and each student I did, when I refreshed it, seemed to default to the catalog 2019-2020 year.
So when you're doing the what if audits, the what if analysis, it does default to the 1920, but not the regular audits.
So Deanna, this is
Yeah.
Adela.
Yeah.
So normally when I advise, I always go into Banner and look at the catalog year that is listed on Banner before advising that student.
Yeah.
So if that student can benefit better from the 1920 catalog, I do tell them to change their major and
Yeah.
that they look for that before submitting that petition to graduate.
Awesome. Yeah, it's just the registrar's office, it just seems like they're always crazy busy.
Yeah.
No matter what. So if we can break or if we can shorten that process for them a little bit, that would be so great. So when they get the graduation applications, if they don't also have to go and change the major at the catalog year, that would be fantastic, taking the step out and getting that done earlier on. So yeah, when you see that, you know, the best you can do is let the students know that they need to change it. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, right? However, so if you're going into Banner and looking at that catalog year for a student, that is the same catalog year that is going to show up in DegreeWorks.
Right. So maybe after, I'm sorry, maybe after the training, I can show Victoria where she can look for that.
Yeah, so you can either go into Banner or you can go into DegreeWorks. They'll have the same information because, like I said, DegreeWorks gets all of its information from Banner. So whatever Banner has listed for the student for a major or a catalog year, that is what DegreeWorks is going to show. So this student's catalog year, 17-18, that is likely the year that she was admitted to the program. We see quite a few students have the new catalog years though, because the gen ed requirements have, or the gen ed credit requirements have been reduced. I believe the registrar's office is, you know, approving those, no problem. Where there's issues moving catalog years is it's some students or some advisors have wanted students to go back catalog years. I think that's when there's issues, but that's not very common. So just a heads up. So Victoria, according to Banner, the student is a 17-18 catalog year. If we wanted to see what her audit would look like though, with the newer catalog year and the reduced gen ed requirements, we could do the what if analysis.
Yeah, that really doesn't apply to AAS degrees.
Okay. Okay. But still something that you can do for any of your students. So the first block that we see is the degree block. And this is just general rules that apply to all of the Associate of Applied Science students. The BBA students will all have the same degree block as well. And it just states you need a minimum of this many credits to graduate. You have to have a minimum of so many Northern credits to graduate. And you also have to have a minimum 2.0 GPA to graduate. You have to meet the gen ed requirements. You have to meet the major requirements. And then there are some graduation honors for students as well. The next block that we see is the general education block. So this is usually the easier part for advisors, right? Gen eds, it gets a little bit trickier with the major requirements. So for this student, for her general education courses, we can see that she needs 25 credits. However, there are only 18 credits being applied, which means that she has an additional 7 credits that she needs to complete the general education requirements. And her GPA for her gen ed courses is 3.11. So if we scroll back up and look at the degree, for this entire degree, including the program and general education, the student has a 3.21 GPA. But if you look at just gen ed, the student has a 3.11. And then if you look at just the major courses, the program specific courses, she has a 3.54. So the reason why we list the different GPAs, so her overall GPA, her gen ed GPA, and then the program GPA, is simply because there are some programs at Northern where a student has to have higher than the 2.0 GPA to graduate. So that is why we listed the different GPAs. We can't do it for specific programs. It has to be for all the students or none. So just a heads up, if you guys are seeing these different GPAs and you're like, what the heck is going on? That is why. Specific to the program, specific to gen ed, and then her overall GPA. So within the gen ed requirements,
Okay,
or-
Catherine has several substitutions in gen ed.
okay, awesome. We will do those as soon as I finish walking through this. Green, check mark, good to go, right? That requirement's being met. Red means that the requirement is not being met. If there are any blue, so we can see that right here, this business technology course, that's for any courses in progress or that the student has pre-registered for. So if a student is pre-registered for fall 2021 courses, that would also show up with the blue, sorry. And also it will have the IP for a grade, which means in progress. As soon as final grades get posted into Banner, those will display in DegreeWorks. Students also have an additional section that's called courses not applied to audit. These are all courses where a student has so far received a satisfactory grade, but the audit isn't using them somewhere else. So I'm assuming, Victoria, that some of these courses are what we'll be using for the substitutions.
Correct.
Because we can put them somewhere in the audit. It's just by default, DegreeWorks isn't doing it. Doesn't mean that we can't use them though. If we couldn't use them, it would only be because of an insufficient grade. And we have an insufficient or the insufficient section, and we have withdrew courses. Oh, that should, I need to fix that, my bad. So this course should actually be displaying down in the insufficient section because the student received a D and all students have to have a D+ or higher, right? Also
Wait, I was told it was a C- or higher
So, yeah,
or C- or higher, sorry.
in everything, whether it's gen ed or degree in the.
Yes,
main-
you are right.
Okay,
I misspoke. That was my bad. You have to have higher than a D+, so C- or higher. You're right. In the remedial courses do not count towards the degree, so they are not used in the audit either. To do the exceptions, though, the substitutions, all we have to do is we go to this exceptions tab at the top, and that will display a very simplified version of the student's audit. So Victoria, what's the first substitution that you want to do?
right, I'm reading her email.
Mhm.
She says, I need a class in humanities and fine arts. However, I took Art 170 photography
Okay.
and I took Spanish 101 intro to Spanish. So she is apparently wanting to use Art 170 photography as her fine arts and
Okay.
Spanish 101 as humanities.
Okay, awesome. So in the courses not applied to audit, I see that Art 170 right here. So we will go ahead and add that to her humanities section that is showing as, incomplete. It hasn't been met yet. So to add the exception, all we have to do is hit this little add button right next to the requirement. The exception type, as advisors, you guys only have also allow and apply here as options. The difference between the two is also allow is more passive and the apply here is a more forceful substitution. So also allow says, okay, well, along with the listed requirements or the listed courses that a student could take for this requirement, they could also take this one, and it's whatever course you're putting in. The apply here says, no matter what, you apply this course to this requirement. And that's the one that has to be used. It takes out any other options. So we'll do the also allow, because it just leaves a little bit more wiggle room if a student decides to, I don't know, take a different course, or if you want to potentially, you know, put a different course there as a substitution. So we're going to also allow art 170. And Victoria, what do you think is a good description? It really depends on you as the advisor, what you want to put here. You can just add acceptable fine art institution. And then, so we select also allow, we enter the subject, the course number, and then we add some sort of description. If we wanted to provide more details, we could, but we aren't required to. Because as of right now on the pen and paper audits, you guys are just initialing the substitutions, right? Or putting them into the audit. I mean, you don't really provide any sort of like reasoning behind it.
We just write in sub and whatever we're subbing.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, most people don't need, or you do not have to put in these details. It's only if you want to. It is not required. So we are going to add the exception. DegreeWorks is going to reprocess the audit, and we can see that that is now being met. So the substitution was applied successfully. If, however, for some reason, you can see that the substitution is there, but it's not being applied. So let's say, you know, it's still showing as red and the requirement is not being met. That's usually because you either have the subject wrong or the course number. So that also includes putting like a space after the ART or the 170. If you put a space in there, it reads that space as a character for some reason. It shouldn't, but it does. So we just want to make sure that we have, you know, just the subject code and the course number.
She also says that she
Yeah,
had the
I have a
humanities substitution of Spanish 101.
For hold that thought before we move on to another substitution. Victoria, Simon, you had a question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
On this degree audit, the course numbers are showing up as the old numbers,
Mm-hmm.
not the new ones. Is that because there's a catalog, they were taken under the older catalog, or is that just a mistake that it should really be showing up the new course numbers?
Yeah, that's a great question. So let me go back to the regular audit and I'll show you. What I did for DegreeWorks was because we have students that have that took courses, you know, under the old course numbers, those credits are still active. They can still be used. What we have done is, so here's a good example. Intro to Accounting used to be OA 135, but the new course number is AACT 2115. So we've listed both. And that's only because for DegreeWorks, if we only had the new course numbers listed, DegreeWorks would not realize that OA 135 and AAC or ACCT 2115 are the same course. So we have to list both of them. if the student had, so here's one, the BCIS 2210, this is under the new course number. It's being applied. The BCIS 249 was an old course number and it's being applied. And that's because we have the old course number and the new course number listed for the courses. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, I was looking at the sociology one,
Mhm.
where it says intro to soci, and it had just the SOC 101
Yep,
instead of the newer number.
right. And that's because when the student took the course, she took it when it was under the old course number. So SOC 101 is what's in her student file, not the SOCI 1110 or whatever it is. Yeah.
Right, but Jana, she took it in summer 2019, which was when it was all. It should have been already under the new number,
No, so the way the catalog.
or maybe not yet.
Yeah, yep. It would have been fall 2019 when we started using the new course numbers. So,
Okay.
yeah, the school years go fall to summer. So technically this course was taken during the 1819 catalog year, and it was the 1920 that those were implemented.
Okay,
You are not the first question to have, or not the first person to have that question, and I'm sure I will get that question several more times, even though we're well into the new course numbers. It's just because the registrar's office does not have a sort of equivalency set up in a way that works with DegreeWorks. So DegreeWorks looks for both the old and the new course number. And then if they took it under the old one, that's what we'll see in DegreeWorks. If they took it under the new one, that's what we'll see. Whatever's associated with what they took. Sorry, that's probably
Okay, thanks.
the really long way to answer your question. Does anybody else have questions relating to the old course and new course numbers? No, okay. So what was that other substitution that you were talking about, Victoria, the Spanish?
Spanish 101, which she appears to apply as humanities.
Okay. So her, yeah, she needs 4 additional credits. For the, okay. Let me go look at the 17-18 catalog here real quick, because I might have something messed up. So she's a 17-18 student. Okay, so this is an AAS degree. The student needs 21 to 22 gen ed requirements. So I need to fix DegreeWorks to not show credits required for gen ed 25. It needs to show 21. So I'll fix that. Besides that, all of her requirements are being met for gen ed. So we don't have to apply the Spanish to her humanities.
All right.
However, under a new catalog year, maybe that change, if she's thinking that she's not a 17-18 and maybe a 18-19 or 19-20 student, maybe that's different. Does anybody know off the top of their head?
You're asking if she should be the 2017, 2018? I believe that's what she should be.
Yeah, well, I was wondering if one of the newer catalog years has a higher amount of credits for gen eds. Do you know? Because it's 21 for 17-18.
I think it should be the same under the office administration.
Okay. That's what I thought too, but you guys are the expert advisors, not
Yeah, I
me.
think it's the same.
Okay. So yeah, all of her gen ed requirements are being met, so we don't have to apply that Spanish as a substitution.
Can we apply the accounting one that she's already taken for the QuickBooks? That's one that she needs.
Yeah, I have a list of in the major substitutions that we need to
Yeah.
get.
Yeah, so the accounting, so you want to put accounting one as a substitute for QuickBooks?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
No, no.
Well, we could
no,
even
no.
do.
I
think we
need
could do-
accounting principles 1, and
With
she
the
has
intro.
substituted BA 221. She's going to use something else for QuickBooks.
Okay.
Okay,
So-
so go to accounting principles 1.
Okay, so we see in the courses not applied to audit, BA 221. We're going
Correct.
to apply that to the intro to accounting,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll add the exception again. We'll do the also allow once again. And all that means is the student can take, OA 135, ACCT 2115, or the BA 221. So it gives her all three of those options. But that BA 221 is the one that will be applied. So let's do the also allow, BA 221. DegreeWorks requires a description. What do you think we should put here, Victoria?
It's just called principles of accounting.
Okay, add exception. It will refresh and there we go. Green check mark. That requirement is now being met by BA 221.
Okay. The next one is the intro to Microsoft project.
Mhm.
Checking these off. And she is substituting BUSA 3330.
Okay, awesome. I see that down there. Three, 330, right?
Correct.
And
That
that
is called
works.
Principles of project management.
Add exception. There we go. That requirement is now being met. And then the last one she has is that QuickBooks course.
QuickBooks, she is substituting accounting 2120.
2120.
And it is called Principles of Accounting 2.
Add exception. There we go. Just to note, if you guys are putting in an exception or a substitution and you mess it up, nothing in DegreeWorks is permanent. So all you do is hit this little trash button, remove exception, it deletes it, you can add in another one. So nothing is set in stone. It's very easy to fix that if you need to. So we see all of her requirements are being met. 40 credits are required. She has 40 credits being applied, so her major is good to go. I will fix this credits required in DegreeWorks to say 21 instead of 25, and that will be met. That'll take me about 5 minutes to do once we're done with the meeting, and then it will be fixed for all of the office administration students. So if you guys notice something like that, that just looks kind of wonky and weird and not correct, let me know. Super, super easy to fix. Another thing to note, and I don't know if you remember this, Lori, this was a conversation that you and I had. I believe it was for the bachelor's business students. They often substitute, is it the business for math or math business class, right? Something like that.
Yeah, that's for OA or for cosmetology and barbering.
Okay. business math. I believe we put in a comment. It was a class that you frequently substitute. So let's say the program requires, accounting principles, or sorry, not accounting principles, professional development. But let's say that this class is often substituted with something else for the majority of students. Maybe you as an advisor recommend your students to take a different course instead. We can add in a little comment in DegreeWorks to let students know that if we want to. Any sort of comment that you want on courses to display for all of your students, we can add a little remark into DegreeWorks if you wish.
Okay, so something like we always, something we substitute is e-commerce for entrepreneurship,
Yeah,
or vice versa, or
We substitute
Uh,
statistics in the math department for business statistics.
Yeah.
or intro to business for management.
yeah. So if that is a frequent substitution that you guys do, technically the original course has to be listed in DegreeWorks, but I can add in a little note that will show up for all the students for the major. This class is required, but students may also take this class instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need
In
forgive
the
me.
case of e-commerce and entrepreneurship, in the catalog, it's an or,
Mhm.
not necessarily a substitution. It's
Okay.
either or. So
Yeah.
so would you do the same process and
No,
make it
so-
look like a substitution, right?
Yeah, so DegreeWorks will already show that a student has to take either e-commerce or entrepreneurship. DegreeWorks will already have both of those showing as an option.
Oh, if it's an or, but if it didn't show up as an or, then it would be a substitution, correct?
Right, yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
let me, Simon, do you advise the accounting students? Or who advises accounting students?
Sometimes I
We
do.
kind of all do.
Okay,
Yeah,
can
all of us.
somebody give me an accounting student off the top of their head by chance?
I have one.
Yeah,
Hang on, let me get it. I have one I wanted to ask a question with anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull up. With you sharing the screen, I can put, I had it on the, on my, computer to ask you about it, but I can't give it to you unless you want to share the screen so I can see it to give it to you.
I have one if you just want to look at one.
yeah, just look at one. And maybe Simon, if you just let me know a time that works for you, we can schedule a one-on-one to go over the student in DegreeWorks quick, if that's okay.
Okay, all
Okay.
right.
What's that student ID number, Lori?
It's 48455. Monica
Okay.
Naranjo. Yeah.
So in DegreeWorks, we can see that this student has not been refreshed since December 11th, 2019. So over a year. So what we want to do is refresh. And there we go. We can see that a new audit was generated, and that's because there have been some changes. Oh man.
Does it say accounting or is she still under?
She still has an
Oh, there
associate
she is. There she
early
is.
childhood declared.
Yeah.
But so there was an error for that early childhood. This will happen if the DegreeWorks doesn't exist for the program. But that's fine. We'll move to the BBA. And here we see the Gen Ed and major in accounting. Yeah, there. So here is a good example. This is one after you and I talked, Lori. It was like over a year ago
Mhm.
that we put in. So here's a little note. Students may take the BUSA 1110 instead of the MGMT 2110.
Yeah.
So we can put these little notes in so that they display for all students per major.
Mhm.
You know, if you guys are doing frequent substitutions like that, because that's something that you guys know as an advisor, but that may not be something that a student knows if they're looking at their degree works. They may not know that they can take, you know, BUSA 1110 instead of the MGMT 2110.
Yeah, so you've done some of them because the statistics has that also.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
do you remember if I gave you a list or?
Yep, you did.
I
Yeah.
remember putting something together. But I can't remember if I actually gave you the list.
Yep.
I don't know.
You did. That's why you let me know which courses were frequent substitutions. And so I put these little notes in there.
Yeah.
Real easy to do. It's just adding a simple comment. So, you know, if there is just any sort of notes that you guys would like to have displaying in the audits for all your students, or maybe just all the students for a specific major, we can add in those to make it easier on you or the students. That's totally fine. We can do a lot to personalize degree works for it to just, you know, make your guys' job easier as the advisor. So
Yeah,
what's
no,
up?
I have
Yeah.
a quick question. You see
Mhm.
where it says business technology still needed, but
Yep.
we have two options listed.
Mhm.
If we were selecting one of those options, you just go in and make the exception rule, right?
Yep. Yeah. Well, no, so you don't have to add it as an exception, you know, as long as the student, you know, this is the old business technology course and this is the new one. If they take one or the other, DegreeWorks will automatically put it there. If you do the exception, I'll show you. You don't apply an exception to a specific course. You apply the exception to the overall requirement. So let's say let's go down to business.
Because in some cases, oh, not for business technology, it was another one, but in some cases, there's just hypothetically, let's say we were applying business computer applications instead. Not that we do it, but just hypothetically.
Yeah.
We would go in and make the exception
Yeah.
and then put in the business computer applications, and then that would meet that requirement, correct?
Yep, exactly. You would do it just like you would for any other course. Because you don't have to, like, you're not selecting a course here that you want to replace, right? You're selecting the entire requirement. So it's just, you know, it's like any other exception that you would do. So a good example for that is a lot of the gen ed courses or requirements. So fine arts has a huge list of courses that you can take, right? But if you're doing an exception for that, you're applying the exception to the fine arts requirement, not to a specific course. If that makes sense, hopefully.
Yeah.
Uh,
And just quick thing, when you finished, I found the student number. I found it somewhere else because she has like 2 or 3 associate degrees listed.
yeah,
So maybe
what's the student ID number?
when we finish this one,
Well-
I'll give it to you.
We are done with this one. I just wanted
Oh,
to
the
show
student
you
number
guys.
is-
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to show you guys the comment in the student audit, and what they would look like. So the student ID number is what?
The student number is 76236. 76236. Yeah,
And Deanne,
exactly.
well, it's coming up, sorry. So we're trying to put together the information you want for the
Yeah.
works. So I want to just have some time for us to ask you questions about it because I think
Yeah.
we're all a little bit confused. So I
Mhm.
just want to let you know that we want to talk about that.
Yes. Yeah. course. Okay, so when we pulled up the student, we can see that her data was refreshed recently, which is great. We have accurate information. And what questions did you have regarding her, Simon?
Go back up a minute, go back up to the toggle switch. And if you look under that, you'll see she has, AA. And I think under that, there was 2 options.
Mhm.
If you look at the AA, or if you scroll down on all them, there were some things that degree AA complete. Okay. Yesterday I refreshed it and it was showing up a bunch of it was showing up some other stuff. It was saying incomplete, but now it's actually feeding everything in.
Yeah,
So my question's gone away.
yeah, so sometimes when you refresh, you have to give it a minute or two. I don't know why. I think it's sometimes maybe our personal connection for our computers. It just takes a few minutes to show those
Okay.
changes. But yeah, hers looks great.
Yeah, because it said incomplete.
Yeah.
And it confused me but now it's showing, okay, no problem. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so
I have a question. I do all that, like we've just finished Catherine Lopez's. Do I print this out, or what is it that I need to send with her petition to graduate?
yeah, so actually, I don't think the registrar's office has it done yet, but they were redoing the wording, I believe, on some of the forms for the graduation application. You as the advisor no longer have to print it off or email it to the registrar's office. You're just going to check off that you did the DegreeWorks audit. And then the registrar's office will pull the student up in DegreeWorks so they can see for themselves.
All right, so that's going to be a place on the graduation petition.
Yes, yeah,
So we don't have to do a degree sheet that we fill out by hand and sign?
right, right. These are replacing the degree sheets.
And all I do is make a note that I've looked at DegreeWorks.
Yes, that her audit is showing as complete. Yeah.
Okay.
So is the chair going to have to review what Victoria did or the faculty did before we sign off, or we don't?
Is
sign
that
off
something
anymore?
you currently do?
Yeah, it's a 3-point check.
Yeah,
It's faculty, chair, and registrar's office.
Yeah, so you guys will still do that. It's just that you don't have to include the audit in the packet anymore. You just log into DegreeWorks and look at it.
You see that it's done. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So regarding the plans that we're putting into DegreeWorks, the reason why we're doing that is to get a better understanding of exactly what courses need to be offered, because the ultimate goal is to get every single one of Northern's courses on a rotation. Unfortunately, we have a handful of students every year. This is not specific to the business department. This is just Northern as a whole. We get a handful of students every year that are so close to graduation or so close to graduating, but they need like 1 or maybe 2 courses, and we're not offering them anytime soon, or we don't have plans to, or their schedule just got weird and like thrown off, maybe because they have transfer credits or whatever it is. So we want to get all of our courses on rotation. However, it is really hard for students and advisors to plan out what the student is going to take in future semesters, because we don't know what's going to be offered necessarily, right? So if you want a student to take a fine arts course next fall, it's hard to say, which fine arts course, because we don't know which ones are going to be offered yet, right? So we want to take the guessing game out of advisement, out of course planning, semester planning. And the way to do that is these plans. So what the plans are is, I'll show you actually. Let's actually go to.
Deanne, we actually do that in our department. We're on a rotation. But yeah, you're right about the gen ed. We don't know what's coming up, what they're going to offer.
Yeah.
So Wouldn't it
Um,
be easier if all the departments just do a rotation
Yeah,
instead
yeah.
of all of these plans?
So these plans also, a student can see their plan. So instead of, and maybe this has become more apparent that we need to have more efficient ways of students being involved in their advisement process. Just because we're not face to face anymore, right? So if a student doesn't have to schedule a meeting with you every single time that they have questions or they want to review classes or something, it gets a lot easier for everyone. So these are the plans. This is a nursing one, but all it is it's saying, okay, spring 2021, these are the courses that our student is going to take. Fall 2021, these are the courses. Oh, we need to add a spring 2022 term. Easy. There we go. Now we can add courses to that. So what we're asking you guys as advisors to do is to not do the plan in DegreeWorks, but just send me a list of your students and what you want them to take in the fall. And
How
this,
many courses? I mean, some of them need a bunch of them. So this
Yep.
is
List them
incredibly
all.
time consuming.
yep,
What do you mean, yep?
yeah, it is time consuming initially to get this started for every student, but we are trying to make it as easy as possible for faculty advisors. So instead of you guys going and putting all this into DegreeWorks and learning how to do the plans in DegreeWorks, we wanted to make it as simple as possible by just having you fill out this document. And then I now have, we have some DegreeWorks student employees that will go ahead and enter this all into DegreeWorks for you. So if you have, 10 students, they need to be listed here with what you want them to take for fall 2021. And this is in a perfect world. If every single course was going to be offered in the fall and you had the choice of all the courses, what would you want them to take? Because we will be pulling reports for future semesters, and it'll tell us, okay, here's all the courses that students have in their plan for fall 2021, and here's how many students plan on taking that course. And that is going to let us know the supply and demand for our courses and what exactly we should be offering. What's up, Simon?
Yeah. What about, let's say we have, you list 5 classes that you want the student to take, and one of those classes doesn't come, doesn't get offered, or it gets closed because there's not enough students, and we have to pick another one.
Right.
How do we solve that problem?
Yeah, so in the plans, the whole point of using the plans is so we can see that hard data, and we can look at several semesters in advance and say, okay, well, this course only has 2 students that plan on taking it in the fall, but in the spring, there's another 7. So maybe we just need to wait until spring to offer it, right? But if a student, these plans, they track and they let us know when students get off track. So let's say a student either can't register for a course, like you were saying, or let's say they fail a course and they have to retake it, right? We can easily move plans from semester to semester, or move courses within the plans from semester to semester. They are very flexible. It is very easy to work with these plans, play with them, move them around as we need.
We're going to have this ability, Deanna, to do this?
Yes, you guys should actually have the access already in DegreeWorks to do this.
Okay, so sorry to interrupt here, but just
No, you're fine.
to let you know, this is what our department has always done in advisement. We get together and we decide, what courses need to be offered, but it's been pretty consistent since Lori's been chair. We offer the same courses every fall and every spring, and then in summer we kind of leave it up to what the overage was basically in spring and what courses we needed to offer. But is there a way to do this for just our department where if we give you a list of what we offer in fall and spring and Is there a way to add that in as a department rather than have to go in at each student individually?
No, simply because not every student is going to be on the same schedule each semester, right?
We try to keep them that way.
Well, right, you try to keep the courses on the same schedule, but each student is going to have a different schedule, right? So we're not doing this isn't course planning for the department, it's per student. Does that make sense?
No,
Yeah, it does, but it's just like Vicky said, it's a little time consuming
no,
because
it's incredibly time consuming.
we're sitting here doing an audit for each individual student, and that can take about a half hour to 45 minutes for me personally. And I know the degree plans pretty well, but it's that also idea that the student may or may not take the 15 to 18 credit hours that we require. They may only take 1 or 2 classes. And so that's where, this changes for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
I think it would have been much easier the way we do it in our department, but I can see what you guys are trying to do, Deanna, and the whole college.
Mhm. So it is time consuming. I get that it's just like whenever you implement something new, right? It's kind of this waterfall effect. There's a lot of work at the beginning, but then it kind of plateaus, right? And so you guys creating these plans or just letting us know what you want your students to take, what you want each student to take fall 2021.
That's just in the business department, correct?
Just the business department. Yep. That is the simplest way. That is how we are going to make it the easiest on you guys. Instead of having you enter it into DegreeWorks and get trained on these plans and everything, the simplest way is to use this, or use a similar document, send it to us, we get it entered, and then later on, then we can do a training or something. But it's just it's that waterfall effect. Anytime you implement something new, there's always more work at the beginning, and then it kind of plateaus off. This is also extremely beneficial for the registrar's office in course planning for gen eds, and basically them having a better idea of what exactly we need to be offering and when, because we have had too many issues where students are close to graduating, or they are just having difficult time trying to meet certain requirements within their degree. What's up, Simon?
Deanna, let's say the student is going to graduate in spring 2022,
Mm-hmm.
and we're just listing 2021 and fall 21.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what would happen is after they've taken the fall 2021 classes, it would say what was left for them to take in spring 2022, correct?
Yes. At the end of this semester, we are going to be entering in the spring 2022 courses for plans. We're trying to do it in smaller increments to make it easier on everyone. But yes, if you put those plans, or if you put the courses into the plan, you can see in the audit that the courses are planned out, and it lets you know which ones are left.
Deanna, can I share mine real
Okay.
quick?
Yes.
And just to kind of show you what I'm doing, and I hope that this is correct. Let me see if I can find it here. So let me move it around here. So what I've done is taken the list that Lori sent, I put them in alphabetical order with their banner ID. And then, so everything that they're taking this semester or should have been taking to
Mhm.
get their degree is listed here. So someone like Jill Archuleta is getting her associate's degree now in spring.
Mhm.
So there's nothing for her in fall.
Yep.
So do we eliminate the students since they're done in spring and then just focus on students and what they need for fall?
Nope. If you already have it created, we will put those current students in just to give us the opportunity to look at the reports for this spring compared to the enrollment that we actually had.
Wait
So
a
if
minute,
you're,
we're supposed to do spring 2021, even though that information is already in Banner?
you do not have to, we can enter in the plans, we can enter in those courses within the plan, because we can see in DegreeWorks if a student is taking a course for this spring.
How many courses are we supposed to list for fall 2021?
The courses that you plan on having a student take,
How many?
it depends on the student. If a student's only part-time, if they're full-time, if you anticipate that the student is going to be taking the full course load, then you put the full course load in.
So basically, we can list the courses that we know are going to be offered in fall. If we know the student is going to be a full-time student, we can just list all those courses that are offered in fall.
Not list all the courses that are offered in the fall, list the courses that you want the student to take.
Yeah, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that.
Deanna, quick
Yes.
question. Some of our students repeatedly take 6 classes, not 5.
Mm-hmm.
So we would list, in the case of those students, we would list all 6 or maybe even 7 if there's an or. Yep. Like if they need entrepreneurship or e-commerce, we'd list the either or. So it would show up 7, even though they only need to take 6, correct?
List the courses that you want the student to take. So if it's an or option, would you prefer the student to take e-commerce or entrepreneurship? If it really doesn't matter, what we can do, I'll share my screen again. What we have done for some students is we then add in just a comment instead. So instead of putting both of those courses in, and there being 7 courses, we say e-commerce or entrepreneurship. Gosh, I'm gonna butcher this, so I'm not even gonna try. So we put in here we go. We put in the comment, and then it says, one or the other, instead of listing both of the courses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That solves our problem. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So what other questions are there?
That's it for me. Thank you, Deanna.
Yeah, that's it for me too.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know that it is time consuming, but this is really something that the college needs to get a better understanding and basically get a better grip on our courses and the course rotation and basically just insight into what we want our students to take. Because I don't think it's fair for you guys as advisors or to the students to not know what courses they'll for sure be taking. I know you guys have yours on a rotation, but for gen ed requirement, we should know what's going to be offered so the student can say for sure, I am going to take this class next semester. I know for a fact it's going to be offered. And to get to that point, there is a lot of work that we have to do initially. And it's not going to be an immediate return. We know that. It's going to be something that will show its real value probably, next spring, once we can start seeing those trends and such. But it's something that we have to do for you guys as advisors and for our students. What's up, Simon?
Deanna, I have a question.
Mhm.
Let's say we have a student, because we're moving into where we will possibly have degree programs that are totally online for business department. So let's say a student needs a gen ed course, an online student. Is there going to be the departments for gen ed? They're going to have to offer online classes as well as on-ground classes. Is there going to be a distinction with that? Or, because what we don't want is somebody needing a class who is an online student, and then any class is only offered on ground and not online, and they're online. So
Right.
how are we going to make those kind of distinctions?
Yeah, so when the student registers for the course, the online one will be a different section, right? And that's going to be the distinction. When they
Right,
register.
but what I'm getting at is, right, but how do we make sure that the department responsible for that gen ed class is offering a online version to catch the online degree people? You know,
Yeah,
that's what I'm getting at.
yeah, that is a good question for probably Janice. I would assume Janice is the go-to registrar person, right? I don't know what their process is for making sure that departments are offering those online courses. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer for you, Simon.
Okay, thanks.
Well, if that is it,
I
then
have a question. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you.
no
Can you
problem.
send us this recording?
Yeah, I believe Lisa's recording it.
Okay. And
Yeah.
my other question, I just want to like repeat it. But so no more petitions on hard copy. We just get through here.
Yep. So I'm not sure. Like I said, the registrar's office is finalizing their new. They're kind of just redoing some wording and such within the graduation petition. For example, it's no longer going to be a graduation petition. It's going to be a graduation application.
So when they do fix that, we'll have to do them hard copy again, or?
Nope. So they will just require you to, I believe, sign off saying that, yes, I've done the DegreeWorks audit, but you don't actually have to include it in the packet because they will just log on and pull up the student themselves. But for other requirements within the graduation packet, I don't know if those will still be hard copy or what they're going to have you guys do.
So should we still send them or just wait? Like,
So
we're not sure.
for the audits,
Sorry. I'm confused.
no, that's fine. For the audits, I don't believe you have to send those anymore. I just don't know about any of the other requirements or any of the other paperwork that's required for the graduation packet.
Okay.
I think we're
Like if
just
you need it,
supposed,
oh, go ahead, Lori. Sorry.
sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think we're supposed to send the paper anymore. I think we're just supposed to do it on DegreeWorks.
Okay,
So,
thank you. Like if you need a substitution or you want to know if something substitutes, will it pull up something there or you just have to put it manually?
You have to put it in manually, yeah. So if if there's a requirement that's not being met, it is your, it's at your discretion, right? If you want to substitute it or not.
And my last question, I'm sorry.
No,
But so if they have a 2018-17 calendar, do you go by that degree sheet or do you, if it's better for them, you do a newer one? Or
that would be, yeah, a question for Lori. What we had talked about earlier is there's a lot of flexibility in the catalog years for students, switching to the newer ones. So if that works best for the student, I don't think the registrar's office is really turning down requests to change catalog years right now. However, one thing that's good to be aware of is a lot of the advisors will, tell a student, yeah, we'll move your catalog year, and they start advising on a particular catalog year, but they never actually submit that change with the registrar's office. So a student will be advised for one catalog year, but their information says that they are listed under a different one. So, if you plan on changing a student's catalog year, you just got to make sure that you're submitting that request with the registrar's office. That's something that I've noticed advisors frequently forget to do.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, Deanna, I a good thing for us to do then would be to look at students where they're under another catalog, but we're advising on the most current one, and then just have those changes made generally, correct?
Yeah, I believe the change of major form, you can fill that out for the student. They can fill it out themselves just to change the catalog year. I know it's called the change of major form, but you can fill it out just to get the catalog year changed.
And you don't need the student signature to do that, do you?
I don't believe so. No, you either have to have the student signature or the advisor's signature.
I believe it just requests the chair's advice.
Okay, so we
I
could
mean,
potentially go through and update everything we're advising that way.
Yeah, you definitely can.
I think we need to have a separate meeting.
Okay,
for
thank you.
advisement.
Yeah, was that the change of major form?
Yes, the change of, let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, it has to be the student and the chair. So it has to be both.
Oh, Janice had told me that if, as long as one or the other signed it, they would accept it. Simply
Oh.
because so many students are changing to the newer catalog years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I didn't know that rule. The thing is, we track it here.
mhm.
So Lisa gets a copy of everything that I sign or anything that the students want to. Lisa tracks all of these change of major forms. So,
That is great because some departments do not really keep track of that very well, and it gets a little messy. And that's where we have a lot of the issues where, you know, a student is being advised on a particular catalog year, but they're not actually, that's not the correct catalog year in Banner. So we just want to make sure that we are, you know, that we have the same information in the database and in the student's file, that they're, you know, according to what they're being advised by. We have had
yeah.
problems in the past where a student gets awarded a certain degree, even though their catalog year was never the same. And that just leads to a mess in the future, and it really messes with our reporting. So.
Okay, well, I would prefer to keep it the way we've been doing it.
Yes. I mean, if you guys are keeping track of things, just, I mean, that's, yeah, it sounds like you guys got a great one.
I have another question.
So,
Oh, go ahead. My
so
question
in this
just-
case,
Oh, go ahead.
if we're going through and cleaning it up and making students up to the current catalog, we're going to have to request that the student sign this document, get it back to us, we send it to Lori, and then it goes to the registrar, correct? That's basically what we have to do with this now.
With the change of major or which one?
No,
I think-
change the catalog. So if we're advising on the current year and we're going through and we're cleaning up all our advisees, and we see that we have 15 students that are on a different catalog, but we're advising them under the new catalog, we're going to have to send the student this form for them to sign it and then send it to you, Lori, for them
Yes.
before it goes
And
to the
then I send it
registrar.
to the
Okay,
Registrar. Yeah,
okay.
And
Gloria
then,
Dell?
yeah,
Oh, my question was, so after just the process of it, so we do the degree works, and then from there, do we tell the student to petition, or how does it, or do you guys have to still look at him? How does that?
I think that the student will petition. That's how we know that they want to graduate. So if they petition, then we do our degree audit on degree works. And then I guess then when you tell me that it's done, I'll go into degree works. And I guess somewhere check it and let the registrar know that it's been checked by you, the faculty, by me, the chair, and then it goes to them. So I guess they're changing the paperwork for that to happen. That's what I'm getting the idea of.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Basically the same process as before. We're just not submitting the physical copy of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So they'll petition first, then
So the
we'll
last
do the
thing,
degree
yeah.
audit. Yeah. and
Eh,
then-
Everything in Banner will be brought over into DG Works, and then we just make the exceptions of stuff that we need to change, substitute.
And if you want to, if
Okay.
anyone
So
wants to
we no
schedule
longer
like
have
a,
to-
oh,
right.
go ahead, Simon.
So we
Sorry.
no longer have to go into, because before we had to go into Banner and compare that to the degree audit and all of that. So now everything, once the screen is refreshed, the most latest data is in there, and then we can look at exceptions and make those changes.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Anytime a student has transfer credit, the registrar's office doesn't automatically transfer in every single course a student has taken. They only transfer in the courses that they see relevant. So if you're ever wondering if the registrar's office has transferred in a course, this little, these three dots up here, this more options menu, we can see the class history, and that gives us a breakdown of all the courses a student has taken. So you don't even have to go to Banner to see what courses the registrar's office has transferred in. Here is a very basic, almost unofficial transcript of a student's coursework
Okay,
as well. Yeah. So yeah, as long as this is refreshed, any information that's in Banner, DegreeWorks will have that.
Makes it easier.
Yeah, instead of going back and forth and nothing against Banner, but it is not like the prettiest interface. There's a lot of clicking around to do, and this kind of lays out more of the information all at once for you to see. So if anybody wants to, go through some substitutions one-on-one with some, for some of your advisees, I am more than happy to just sit down with you, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever you need to work through some of those substitutions, get any questions that you have answered. My schedule is usually pretty free, so we can definitely make something work if you want to do a one-on-one kind of breakdown of some of your advisees audits, just to make sure that you're more comfortable with that.
thank you.
Anybody have any more questions? No. Yeah.
Thank you.
For your time, and this was really helpful. Although it is a lot of work, but I think it's a really good tool for the planning of our future classes and for the college to be able to work closer together. So
Thank you. Yeah, that's the goal. It's not immediate, but we will see that in the future. I think it'll make
yeah,
everyone's lives a lot easier. Well, I will let you guys go because I've kept you well over the hour that I think we had scheduled. Thank you for being so patient. If you have any questions, email me, give me a call. If you ever need to schedule a one-on-one, I am more than happy to do that.
okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
You guys
you.
have a good rest of your week. Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.